Thank you for joining us on another episode of Race to Power on WION The World is One. I'm Eric Njoka. Here's what we will be talking about today on the show. India's Supreme Court has upheld the government's decision to revoke special status for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The court also ordered the region to hold local elections by September 30th next year. We talked to a former governor of the state and what the ruling means. Also, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's PTI party comes to the realization that in order to survive in the electoral landscape of Pakistan, it may have to sit down with other political stakeholders like the PPP. We'll tell you what that is about. And in the United States, former President Donald Trump announces that he won't testify for a second time as planned in the New York civil fraud trial against him and his company. His approval rating spikes. All this coming up on Race to Power. Welcome to the show. Our top story on the show today, India's Supreme Court has upheld the revocation of the special status of erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. The top court also upheld the reorganization of the state into two union territories. Both of these changes were made by the Indian Parliament back in 2019. However, the assembly elections in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir could not be conducted even after more than 4 years. So the Supreme Court of India has now directed the Election Commission to hold elections in the Union Territory by September next year. Here's a report.
That steps shall be taken by the Election Commission of India to conduct elections to the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, constituted under Section 14 of the Reorganization Act, by 30 September 2024. Restoration of statehood shall take place at the earliest and as soon as possible.
और आज का दिन जम्मू कश्मीर और भारत के इतिहास में अलग दृष्टि से भी बहुत सुवर्ण अक्षरों से अंकित होने वाला है.
After more than 4 years of wait, India's Jammu and Kashmir may hold assembly elections soon. A Supreme Court ruling earlier today has set a definite timeline for the process. The erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir last went to polls during the 2019 national elections. At that time, the state used to send 6 members to the lower house of the Indian Parliament. As for the Legislative Assembly elections, the state-turned Union Territory has not held an election since 2014, when 66% voters came out to vote. The erstwhile State Assembly had 85 seats back then. In June 2018, the elected government lost majority. And almost a year later, in August 2019, the special status which granted greater autonomy to the state government was abrogated on the very same day. The state of Jammu and Kashmir was bifurcated into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. While the relatively calmer Ladakh region was to remain a union territory without a legislature, the union government provided legislative assembly for the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Under a new parliamentary bill, the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir will now have 92 elected lawmakers. 3 seats have been reserved for nominated members, 2 belonging to Kashmiri migrant community and 1 for refugees from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Back in 2019, when the special status was revoked and reorganization was implemented, the central government assured that statehood of Jammu and Kashmir will be restored soon. But more than 4 years later, neither the statehood was restored nor elections to the Legislative Assembly were held. So 12 million people in Jammu and Kashmir remain without an elected government. But with the Supreme Court announcing the September 30th, 2024 deadline, they won't have to remain without an elected government. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Dr. Karan Singh is one of the most significant voices in the Jammu and Kashmir debate over the years. Apart from having served as the governor of the state in the past, his father, Hari Singh, was the ruler of the state at the time of India's freedom from the British. Dr. Singh, welcome to the show, and it's good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Let me start by asking you, what's your reaction to the verdict of the Supreme Court?
I welcome the vote. There was an area of uncertainty for many years, and at last we've had a closure on that particular That is the relationship of the state, the rest of India. So I know that everybody will not be happy about it, everybody in the state. It will be mixed feelings. But I personally welcome it. I think it's time that we got that behind us, carried on now with our development and election and state.
Dr. Singh, do you believe the court ruling has now brought the Kashmir issue to its logical conclusion? And also, with that, what, according to you, is a key takeaway from this verdict?
Well, it has brought at least one aspect of the equation to a logical ending. Because okay. Now that's over. The book is not a part of India as any other part. Now, as far as the main takeaways are concerned, first of all, it is a positive, very, very detailed, the Chief Justice read out a very detailed judgment on each and every aspect of this. Secondly, the fact that they said statehood should be restored as soon as possible. And thirdly, that they have set a deadline for election. These are very important. I have one particular point to make. I view the statehood must come before the election. Because if there are going to be elections, there must be elections for a full-fledged state, not for a unity.
Well, Dr. Karan Singh is the former governor of state of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for talking to us and for talking to WION World is One today.
WION is my favorite channel. I'm very glad to be on it first.
Oh, thank you very much. It's good to hear that. Thank you and have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
The Narendra Modi-led Bharatiya Janata Party has chosen Mohan Yadav as the new Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. The BJP came back to power in the central Indian state after winning more than two-thirds majority in assembly polls held last month. In choosing Mohan Yadav to lead the state after dropping the four-term Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the BJP has set the tone for next year's general elections. Mohan Yadav belongs to a social group known as OBC, or other backward castes. The support from the OBC group is considered crucial for any party that aspires to hold power in New Delhi. The Prime Minister himself belongs to the OBC section, but it's not just the OBC community which the BJP seems to be reaching out to. Two other key appointments include Jagdish Devda and Ravindra Shukla. These are the deputy chief ministers. While Shukla represents the influential Brahmin community, Devda too has a sizable following as member of the scheduled caste social group. The appointment of two deputy chief ministers in a state has now been called the Uttar Pradesh model, named after BJP's successful social engineering in India's most populous state. On Sunday, the party announced a relatively less-known tribal leader as its chief minister choice for neighboring Chhattisgarh state. Vishnu Deo Sai is set to take oath in state capital Jaipur on December 13th. The BJP dethroned incumbent Congress chief minister in the state by winning a majority in 90-member Chhattisgarh State Assembly. BJP's win in the state polls held last month came as a surprise to many, but post-poll analyses have revealed that the BJP had managed to make inroads into the significant tribal vote base of the Congress. And now, with Sai being brought to the helm, the BJP will be hoping for a strong tribal vote share in the 2024 race to power. The decision on the chief minister choice in Rajasthan, the third state that the BJP won last month, is likely to be announced on Tuesday. Once again, there are speculations that the chief minister of the state will represent a key social group in the state. This even as former BJP chief minister Vasundhara Raje continues to camp in New Delhi, India's national capital, hoping to get a hearing from the top BJP leadership. Looking ahead, the BJP is clearly preparing for the big elections in 2024, and the chief minister choices is only a reflection of that. Staying on the political developments in India, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has postponed his planned Southeast Asia tour. His multi-nation trip was to reportedly begin from the 9th of December. The Congress leader was scheduled to travel to Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Vietnam. The trip cancellation comes just days after Congress suffered defeat in key state assembly polls last Sunday. Rahul Gandhi, widely considered Congress party's Prime Minister candidate, has been visiting universities in the US, UK and Europe, sharing his vision for India. He even addressed Indian diaspora community events, drawing parallels with India's incumbent Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But his party is now struggling to reconsolidate its stature in the opposition India alliance. The alliance members came together earlier this year, hoping to dethrone the ruling BJP government in next year's polls. Since the defeat of Congress in state assembly polls, constituent parties of the India alliance are seemingly hesitant to give Congress a leading role. Top leaders decided to skip the alliance meeting called by Congress party last week. Non-Congress chief ministers also skipped the swearing-in ceremony of new Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy. Telangana was the only state Congress could manage to win out of the 5 states that went to polls last month. Key opposition alliance leaders, however, have dismissed the reports of discontent and incoherence within the bloc. They have now decided to meet on December 19th in New Delhi. The motto for their upcoming meeting is Mai Nahi Hum, which loosely translates to not me, but us. Observers believe the poll debacle has seriously dented Rahul Gandhi's status as a possible challenger to Prime Minister Modi. Many believe Rahul Gandhi can no longer be projected as a convener of the grouping, making a case for several leaders from regional parties in the opposition alliance. As Pakistan gears up for its February polls, former Prime Minister Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party is grappling to earn a seat in the contest, and it appears that their only way to do so would involve the country's other mainstream parties, including the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, or the PMLN, and the Pakistan People's Party, the PPP. Here's a report.
Beset by problems on all sides, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party may be fast running out of options. Some PTI leaders feel the only way for its survival may be to reach out to other political stakeholders, including the PMLN and the PPP. However, so far, the party has ruled out holding negotiations with these two parties. But all that could well change, given that the party is fighting a desperate battle for political survival. It all started for the PTI when the Election Commission called for fresh intra-party polls to elect a new chairman as well as key office bearers if the party wished to retain its bat symbol. Accordingly, the party then held elections on the 2nd of December. The very same day, PTI announced that former Prime Minister Imran Khan's hand-picked nominee, Barrister Gohar Khan, is its new party chairman. However, a PTI founding member, Akbar S. Babar, who developed differences with the party leadership in the past, filed a petition challenging the polls, calling them rigged and fraudulent. At least 13 PTI members joined Babar, saying no election schedule was given beforehand and even the voter lists were not released. Opposition parties PMLN and PPP also joined in, questioning the legitimacy of the PTI elections. Soon after, the Election Commission sent PTI a notice but adjourned the hearing till December 12th. However, putting a brave face, PTI now claims that even if it is not allocated the bat symbol, it will go ahead and organize countrywide conventions to rejuvenate its election bid, especially in view of its successful power show in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Party leaders also claim they are aware of the efforts to keep PTI out of the February elections. but they can even field independent candidates in case of a ban. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In the United States, former President Donald Trump refused to take the witness stand once again at the trial against him over charges of fraud. This was Trump's last chance to make his case as the hearings drew to a close. A potential $250 million fine hangs over his family business in the event of a guilty verdict. While Trump often believes he can talk himself out of the trouble, his last-minute change of mind this time around seems to have stemmed from caution on the part of his lawyers. According to reports, Trump's legal advisors were concerned that any further testimony by him would do more harm than good, given that they believe the judge is biased against the former president.
But this is a case that should have never been brought. This is a witch hunt. This is election interference at a level that has never seen before. It comes out of the DOJ and the White House in order to hurt a political opponent. And actually, it's driving up my polls because the people of our country get it. Our poll numbers are the highest I've ever had. And the people of our country get it. It's a disgrace to America. Thank you very much.
Trump missed his trial at a time when polls are showing him leading President Joe Biden in the 2024 elections. A new poll carried out by the Wall Street Journal shows Biden with the lowest approval rating of his presidency. As per the poll, 47% of registered voters in the United States are supporting Trump over Biden's 43%. This is the first poll rating of its kind in the run-up to the presidential race, and it appears to have decided Trump's course of action. The former president is betting on the U.S. voter while ignoring any need to appear for his trial. A little over 1/4 of Hong Kong's registered voters turned up to cast their vote in the district election. Opposition candidates were barred from the ballot sheet in what is being called as an undemocratic patriots-only polls. The sharpest slide in turnout since the last such election in 2019 comes after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law. That law has been used to clamp down on dissent and overhaul the electoral system to shut out Democrats and other liberals. The 2019 polls were held amid Hong Kong's mass pro-democracy protests. The polls saw a record 71% turnout, and the Democratic camp got a landslide victory in the fiercely contested poll. For the current election, the directly elected seats were slashed by nearly 80%. Moreover, all candidates were required to undergo national security background checks and secure nominations from 2 pro-government committees. At least 3 pro-democracy and non-pro-establishment groups, including moderates and even some pro-Beijing figures, failed to meet those thresholds. On top of it, unprecedented electronic poll register system failure caused disruptions and an eventual switch to a manual system. Polling times were then extended by 90 minutes till midnight, all of which contributed to depressing voter enthusiasm to a low record. Only 27.5% voters turned out to cast their ballots. The previous lowest turnout was 35.8% in 1999. And now here's an election wrap of all the other stories from across the globe. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is set to fire several top ministers who are reportedly under investigation for alleged fraud. Now, according to Japanese media, a total of 15 ministers will be sacked, potentially as early as this week. They would include Kishida's right-hand man, Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno, and the Minister of Economy, Industry and Trade, Yasutoshi Nishimura. Prosecutors are investigating allegations that the faction failed to report tens of thousands of dollars raised through fundraising parties. Remember, Kishida's poll ratings are at their lowest since he took office 2 years ago. Egyptians have hit the polls as the presidential race proceeds, with little doubt that incumbent Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is set to secure a third term. The polling will be stretched over a period of 3 days and ends on the 12th of December. But the elections remain overshadowed by the war in neighboring Gaza. Remember, turnout is expected to be a key indicator of public sentiment in what is an otherwise uncompetitive race. During the last elections, it fell by 6 points to 41.5%. And finally, we know political funding is a challenge globally. We also know corruption too has been a big challenge in politics around the world. And yet, the visuals coming up next will shock you. In our segment Power Play, we leave you with the visuals of an Indian lawmaker holding a shocking amount of cash notes. Here's a report.
The world.